In this video, we will show you the use of the array generator and how to create a first array definition. New arrays can be created in the array generator on the Helios palette and only inside the CAD system. To create a new array, you can go to New, which will then create the array definition in the database. Create the record and open the array definition for changing the options. The first dialog that appears is the folder selection, so I can select a folder from the component master data. But for changing the folders you need to go to the database and to the component management itself. After selecting a folder, the next dialog will show the naming for the array definition. As a name, you can set like the module name and the metrics for the modules and the table size. When I hit OK, the record gets opened to do the settings. The two pages are meant to do the whole configuration. First thing would be choosing the proper array definition type. I can choose between fixed tilde and east-west arrays or different tracker types. This example will show a fixed tilde array. First, I need to assign the module record. So Helios draws the first module and shows its dimensions. The bitmap is only used for renderings and 3D scene exports, so you can assign your own texture or use our defaults. After that, the orientation of the modules and the metrics will be defined by the number of rows and columns. I can choose landscape or portrait modules and then set the module arrangement like 3 rows and 27 columns. The modules have no distance between each other. So the next would be the gaps between the modules in each direction like 16. If you need special gaps between the modules, this can be achieved by module groups and distances. So in this case a group defines a number of modules and then an extra gap can be defined with the 2 rows. But this will be a special example. For the module supports you can set the module support thickness. The thickness value will cover all components between the back of the modules and the posts. Any in-between object will only be considered as a box. If there is any object like carriers or clamps exceeding the module area, you can set the proper overhang like to the top, the bottom or any side, which will then be considered for the distance between neighboring tables or different table rows. The height of any array can be fixed either to the bottom edge or the post height. For fixed tilde tables we usually use the bottom edge, while for trackers, we must use a specific post height. As module inclination we can set the range which wider inclination angles should be valid for the table. The true inclination angle will then be set for a specific field placement. So the limitation here shouldn't be smaller as necessary due to the manufacturer information. The module inclination default will only affect the display here in the drawing, but it has no effect on the technical use later. The maximum slope means the slope in the row direction, and if exceeded it will cause the placement to skip a table or handle the conflict. The distance reference can be switched in case of special rack structures and force you to also check the distance between the extruded table bodies on the ground. On the second page of the menu, the post configuration follows here. The first setting is a special installation type that will use shared posts between neighboring tables. But this is not the default we use here. Any post will use the set standard ram depth for visual reasons. This setting is independent from a specific post position or lengths. The position of post rows can be set either to a fixed distance inside the module plane or to a fixed distance from the table front in the horizontal plane. When you go to the list, you can add a new post row with a button on the left side, and then you can start inserting single posts or multiple posts. The first post row can be added by the add command, and Helios will always add 2 posts each on one side of the array definition. For a non-symmetrical layout, you can now reduce the number of posts for the first post entry. Then you can just continue adding posts. For each post we can set the distance to the previous element, like the first posts to the left table boundary and then always the distance for each post to the last post on the left side. For a symmetrical example, you can just set a single entry, and in this case you can start with the outer distances to the boundary, like equal on each side. Then you can easily add more posts by just changing the counter. For each change to the counter, the distance between posts is adjusted, so you can check if the situation is suitable. For any of these post entries, you can assign a post definition on the right side from the article list. If more post rows are required, you can just add more post rows or format matching post configurations. You can also copy the existing post rows and just move the post rows with the offset from the table front. By that, we have a usable post configuration. If there are special requirements to the post rows, you can also align the posts to the table plane or make multiple post rows exactly being put behind each other. The array definition is already usable at this point, so anytime you want to save that drawing, you can go to the top and hit Save, which will automatically close the drawing and end the edit mode. Now the record is saved to the database and ready for use in any project.